a happy day. I love it. You are so wonderful, dear Prince Fleet. And welcome to Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide, where we believe there's a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we can use it. And guess what? We're using it every single day of our lives, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. This is why I love our way of life. And I've had people say, 45 years in the ministry. Oh my gosh. I mean, how can one be in a profession for 45 years? But what is so great about our way of life is that every day is new, and that we have the opportunity to create or recreate our experience at any time. I love our theme for the month, Through the Looking Glass. When Alice looked through the looking glass, she discovered energy. What happened? She put her hand through the looking glass and it didn't bounce back. It went way in. And as she went through the looking glass, and remember, today's topic is about, the rabbit hole. How far down the rabbit hole do we want to go? Because the rabbit hole represents a gateway, a portal into an expanded reality. So when I look at my 45 years in the ministry, and Neil Stroud and I, we had a very good friend, and he was an artist, and he could actually do anything, and he made us this great big sign. And I founded the center in Santa Clarita, and it was called the Science of Mind Church of Positive Thinking. And I received a call from the Institute saying, you didn't put religious science on your sign. I mean, this is how interesting the movement was back then. And I said, I'm going out into the Santa Clarita Valley. We are renting at the William S. Hart Ranch. And in the ranch were a bunch of buffalo. And it was a pretty rural area in those days. Now it's very cosmopolitan, but in those days it was ranches and buffalo and cows, and it was quite rural. So I really didn't think anyone in the area would recognize religious science. So I had Peter make a sign, and a beautiful sign, and he had to engrave and all of this and paint. The Science of Mind Church of Positive Thinking, because in that day, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's book, The Power of Positive Thinking, was the New York Times bestsellers list. When I was 19 years old, my mother gave me that book. And as you know, my background is I was raised in domestic violence. My sister took her own life. It was a very, very sad time. However, when we are raised in situations full of dysfunction, and we are looking for a lifeline, my lifeline was the La Crescenta Church of Religious Science. And my husband, Neil Stroud, and I discovered it through a friend. And when I walked in to that sanctuary, and Dr. Guy Lorraine, and I actually named my daughter Tricia Lorraine after Dr. Guy Lorraine, said, you have a right to be here. You are loved. You are deserving. You are worthy. You have a right to be here on the planet. When I sat in the very back row because I wanted to make a quick getaway in case I didn't relate to any of it. I could just sneak out the back. And what I discovered is that as time went on, I got closer and closer to the front row. I was taking Science of Mind classes, all there was to take. And finally, after 4 years and the practitioner training of 2 years, that's called 6 years, there was nothing left to take but ministerial training. So my husband said, you are a natural. And I was teaching self-image psychology at the university level at that time. And what I discovered is that self-image psychology and religious science went hand in hand. They dovetailed. Because the great thing about it was that we are created in the image and likeness of God, a higher power. It matters not what we call that higher power, does it? We can call it Father, Mother, Universal Intelligence, Yahweh, Jehovah, Brahman. It matters not, comma, for our dear Shinto priest here. It doesn't matter what we call it, but to acknowledge that which is within us is greater than that which resides in the world of conditions, and the conditions show up. We're in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, we're now into 7 months into a pandemic. Meeting, in houses of worship. We're not doing that. We're in the Rose of Sharon Sanctuary, my home, where I moved here 2 years ago, from a home that I absolutely loved in Palm Springs. And I want you to know that we all have challenges. And within a 2-year period of time from, and 2018 was a very interesting year for me. I had shared prior that I had like, a little dot above my lip, and I just sort of put stuff on it. It would almost go away, but not quite. Then I thought after a whole year, I better go to my dermatologist. And they said, well, we think it's a melanoma. And I said, well, how sure are you of that without a biopsy? He said, 99%. I said, I'll go with the 1%. So they did the biopsy, and it was not a melanoma. It was a carcinoma, which is the least of the skin cancers that are out there. However, I had waited a whole year. So when I had this surgery, I thought they're going to burn it off, all is well. 6 hours later, with a gaping hole above my lip, he had to slice out part of my upper lip to actually suture everything together so that it would grow back together. I did not have plastic surgery. I'm so grateful. When I used to complain to my mother about oily skin, she said, when you get older, you'll be grateful. So here I am in my 70s, and I am a speaker. And I look disfigured. In fact, our videographer, Julian Hernandez, saw me, and tears welled up in his eyes, and he said, oh, dear Dr. Sharron. And then he caught himself. He goes, oh, no, you're going to recover. You're going to recover. I just know you're going to recover. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. But I did look disfigured. You can just imagine with all of this going on. And then I was in a relationship for 10 years and discovered that there was unfaithfulness. And then my dog, whom I adored, I have Minnie, and then we had Muffin. The pool man let the gate open. She ran out and was hit by a car and immediately killed. So then after that, I had, I couldn't get out of bed. I literally could not get out of bed. And so my son-in-law was passing through the 10. This is how synchronicity works, folks. He was passing on the 10. My daughter called him. He got off on 111, passing on the way home to Arizona, to take me to urgent care. Now, when the doctor saw me, she thought, oh, it's probably just a little pinched nerve. This woman looks so radiant and healthy. She took a x-ray and said, we are now referring you to orthopedic surgery. You need surgery on your back. So within a 6-month period, less than 6 months, I have a major cancer surgery on my face. My little dog, whom I loved and adored, my little Muffin, is now killed, right? Now my 10-year relationship of unfaithfulness came up. And then I got to have back surgery. So I went through, in a very short amount of time, horrendous things. I had mortgaged out my house so there was to keep the ministry doors open, so that there was no more equity, and the property taxes went up to $10,000 a year, and my mortgage payment doubled because I had mortgaged my home to keep our doors open. So now I am in this health situation. I'm heartbroken about a relationship and my precious little dog. I have to have back surgery. Now I'm being kicked out of my house. So I think, I've been in the ministry a long time. I have been all over the world. I have been acknowledged. I have a Lifetime Achievement Award from the White House, 2 of them. If I live long enough, I'll get a 3rd, I'm sure. And suddenly, I'm looking at these things, and I am in utter disbelief, and I go into a very deep sadness. That, the back always represents support. I did not feel supported in my ministry. I was supporting my ministry. Usually it's the other way around. The congregation supports the minister. And I would share this from the pulpit, but they look at me, and my dear friends, they would say, and Claudia's here, you don't look like you're hurting, so people don't get it. You're not up there in sackcloth and ashes and saying, I'm being kicked out of my house. I have to have back surgery. I had a 6-hour surgery. My dog died. Sounds like a country western song. My God. And because I believe so deeply in our way of life. And so it's so interesting that Dr. Yoshi is here, because he was visiting me after back surgery. And so I said, I want you to take me up to Desert Hot Springs, because the one thing that I love about the Coachella Valley, and remember, Coachella means what? Hand of God in the ancient Kuya. Hand of God. Take me all around to every park in Desert Hot Springs, because the one thing I love, and I've been spending a small fortune on it, 2 bunch bombs, are the minerals. So if I have to move and do a short sale on my house, which I did sell to the next door neighbors, who are beautiful women, and they were buying the house for their 94-year-old mother and the brother and sister-in-law who were the caretakers. They adored my house. I said, I will do everything I can for you to get my house. Their aunt handled the short sale. And within a 4-week period, that we had everything done. And they said, take as long as you need to move out. I mean, they're living next door, right? Beautiful people. And Melody, I bless you. And so here I am. I discover this place. I say, stop. I take a picture of the sign. It says for rent. So I call, and I have all my own furnishings that I've had for over 40 years. They're all very beautifully carved. The energy is beautiful of my furnishings. And they had the place just furnished to the hilt with all kinds of interesting things that I did not relate to. So I called the sales office and I said, they're going to have to get rid of that furniture. I have my own beautiful things. And she said, he won't, he never has, he never will. I said, offer him a 2-year lease. She called back in 5 minutes and said, he'll take it. So he and his wife got rid of everything. I moved in. It's 2 lots. So there's the beautiful casita with a breezeway. I have a courtyard where I do sacred ceremonies that fit my stained glass perfectly. I have not rented a house since my 20s. I've always owned. My husband was a teacher, and during the summer he had his broker's license, as he said, to support his teaching hobby, because teachers in that day made nothing. So we got into this way of life. We began focusing our energy on what works. And when you begin to focus your energy on what works and realize that we are born perfect, complete, and whole. Do we have experiences that we go through? Yes. I mean, you know, the whole thing of what do you get when you play the country western song backwards? You get your health back, you get your house back, you get your little doggy back, you get everything back when you play it backwards. So energetically, I went through the dark night of the soul. My congregation had no idea what I was going through. Shirley's here. She's the only one that offered to help me unpack. But I met an angel. And the electrician that was here, we had an electrical outlet because when I moved in, within 1 week we had a storm and lightning and we had thunder and the place shook. And part of the electricity went out. So the electrician, I said, do you know anyone that can help me? I've got boxes up to the ceiling in this breezeway. And he said, yes, I do. Her name's Nicole, and I think that she'll be perfect. So I call Nicole. She shows up. She, from head to foot, filled with tattoos. She has no teeth. And she got this ponytail that's doing its own thing. And I thought, okay, this is who God sent me. She's my angel. Tattooed head to foot, no teeth, outrageous Neanderthal ponytail. This is who God sent me. And then she was going to Florida. Her son had been taken away from her because of a drug problem, and she was clean. And she said, I'm going to send my father over who just got out of prison. Okay. Great. He's going to help me. He just got out of prison. And so he comes in, and he's, really cute with his little red bow tie and his little plaid shirt. And I said, you must be Sam, Nicole's father, who I understand just got out of prison. He said, yes, I've been out 3 days. And I said, I guess, my Father, Mother, God released you so you could get over here to help me. So I have all my own beautiful fans and outlets, and I have stained glass. He did everything. And he said, you're probably wondering why I was in prison. And I said, well, it occurred to me, but it's none of my business unless you want to offer it. He said, I was helping Latino families across the border to reunite with families. And I did that for 1.5 years, and the federales caught me. So I went to prison for 1 year. And, it's not like, he was this rapist or this, grand theft, whatever. And so I understood that. And wherever we stand on that issue, you know that I am apolitical, and I do vote for who I choose to vote for, but I am a 501c3. We never discuss politics from the pulpit. But I understood where he was coming from, and I have a heart of compassion. I am a minister. So in this period of time where I stand before you, being here for 2 years, and everything I went through to get through, and I want you to know, I'm in the mineral hot springs every evening. I am swimming. My doctor is just amazing. He said, I'm a mechanic. I put in the titanium in your lower back. And I said, yes, I know, I'm now bionic. And what he said, but you have other issues back there. I said, we don't use those words. We don't use the A word or any word that is going to be less than my perfection, because I'm swimming every day. He said, you are amazing. And after that surgery, I walked in after 2 weeks without a cane, and the nurse said, oh, are you pre-op? I said, oh no, I'm post-op. And she said, I have never seen anyone walk in without a walker or a cane. So my daughter, my beautiful Trisha Lorraine, took care of me for 1 month and made my meals. And she said every 4 hours she had to wake me up to give me some sort of a pill. And the doctor, said, well, be very careful on this one and make sure she's breathing before you give it to her. And she goes, Mom, I was like paranoid. Oh my God, put a feather to your nose. I don't want to wake you up. So, we went through all of this. I said, well, I used to put a feather to your nose when you were a baby because you slept through the first night I ever brought you home. So I said, it's a full circle now, honey. So she took care of me. And so can you imagine, in such a short amount of time, to have one's house taken away, one's precious little pet go into, heavenly rainbow bridge, to have a relationship that whom I adored that was suddenly unfaithful, and then to have major back surgery and cancer surgery. It was incredible. And I only in that period of time missed 2 Sundays. 2 Sundays. And, when I was doing the back thing, I had to give my presentations in a chair, didn't I, Shirley? I gave them in a chair. They call it the Queen's chair, and now, Louise Minute calls it the Diva chair. And Fleet knew he was with me the whole time. And I came through it. So what I attribute it to is this way of life, that we all go through the dark night of the soul, and we come out on the other end. And what I know, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. And it's not an oncoming train, as a friend of mine says. It's your light, your truth. We did this beautiful True Heart ceremony where we are acknowledging our spirituality and divinity and the opportunity that we have to make a difference. And when Joan of Angels gave our beautiful readings, until one is committed, there's hesitancy, there's a chance to draw back. But once you commit, all of providence comes to your aid. All of providence lifts you And there is unforeseen wealth and inheritances and wonderful things that occur once we commit. And persistence is key. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. So today, it is my honor and my privilege to be with you and to acknowledge our beautiful spiritual community and the opportunity that we have to connect in this way. And, you know, it's interesting. People say, well, you know, Reverend Perry said that he didn't really relate to the online thing. I love you, Reverend Perry. However, I do. And I feel that this is our means of communication, and this is how it is. And when you tell me what great film you saw on Netflix, you saw on Prime, you saw on Paramount, guess what? This is the greatest show on earth. This is the show that transforms lives. This is the show about universal love. This is the show that is going to lift us to heights so amazing that we're going to step through that looking glass. And how far down the rabbit hole we go is up to us. And I want you to know, in 2018, I went the whole distance. And I came back. And I came back stronger. Probably even more compassionate, because when you're in radiant health, you don't always have the total compassion for those going through things. More compassionate. More understanding. We go through things so we can deepen the quality of our heart chamber, right? And I have a gift that Kahuna Kalei, who made her transition in August, who was my student 40 years ago, gave me, that I'll share when we have our offering time. It's about a heart chamber. And it's a beautiful Kuan Yin. So we let that energy move through our hearts, and we come out on the other side. Because we're all here on the journey, aren't we? We're all here to make a difference, not just make a living. And we're all going somewhere. Where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Where is it? Higher yet. Because I am in a high place and I will not come down. None of these outer things move me. I am in a high place and I will not come down. I say to you, Namaste. The God in me celebrates the God in you, and the God in you celebrates the God in me. And if I am in that place in me, and you are in that place in you, there is only one of us. I say shalom, the peace that passes all understanding. God bless us.